I woke up to lust at 9, swimming happily in the stream of porn from 9 to 36, 5, without knowing even there's a problem. It's just the thing. And in every way, in any way that I can get my hands on this, I'm going to. With everything in me, when I say I look at porn, it is I want that woman. It's as deep and as wicked and as dark as you could possibly imagine at 9. And then, of course, as the advent of the internet showed up, and then I had my own business, it became unbelievably easy to just spend hours just feeding on this this porn. So yeah, it was a huge chunk of my existence as a human. When I was a kid, I went to church, and I came across this movie, Thief in the Night. Freaked me out. I didn't want to go to hell. I was afraid that Jesus was going to come back without me. I would constantly ask God to save me, and yet there's this current of porn was happening over here. So there was a disconnect. And then I went to a church, it was a Presbyterian church, where the points of grace and actual waking up to God is gracious to his people began to be so sweet to me, and the righteousness of Christ was given over to me as in my account, and I could let go of my sin, and Christ would take it. There is therefore now no condemnation to those that are in Jesus Christ. So I'm like, yes. So I go to church on Sunday, and I'm like, oh, yes. Monday, click. That's a lie. Sunday night, about an hour after the service, click. It was just right back to it. No real wrestling with this is wrong. I need to let go of this, except for the guilt, which I was given release from when I would hear Christ's righteousness was made over to your account. Like, oh, I love to hear about Christ's righteousness. At that church, and went to the pastor and said, hey, I'm looking at porn, and I know I shouldn't be. Can I put a filter or something? Can we be like buddies or something? And he said, sure. Months would go by, and he goes, Scott, I do see those reports. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're seeing them. So even with the pastor, who I love this man, and he wasn't at all angry or hostile towards me. He wasn't like a big bat kind of guy. There wasn't anything out of it. I never moved out of, I'm done with this. I read a book, ironically, from a preacher that I would say today to people, be careful with this material. But one of the things he kept talking about is being under the waterfall of grace. And so I was hearing that, like, be under the waterfall of grace. And he began to say, your repentance needs to happen at the time of the event, which sounded to me scandalous. You have to wait. Like any good papist knows, you have to give it time. You have to have at least 2 days or 3 weeks before you can really come back and really truly be sorry about that sin. There's that feeling, I have to wait. So I began to move towards a repentance, which I'll talk about. I actually shifted my mind in how that word meant to me, but for the time being began to say, God, just literally seconds after the event, God, I'm sorry. This is the first time that, moving the time very, very close. And he also said something, another very scandalous thing to me is, ask for big things from God right then, because you're the weakest. So you have no merit of your own, therefore ask God big things. So I began to ask God, would you give me a desire for you like I have a desire for porn? Would you do that for me?